All right, we're here with Eric Bissell again. We're in front of actually what was our old walnut hauling truck, 1931 Model A. Eric, first of all, it's good to have you back home where you belong.
California.
So let's talk about, you got a Psalms 31 there. Let's talk about that a little bit. And I want to also mention that we're going to do a video also about the new thing that he's got going with the Et Sefer and Dr. Stephen Pigeon. We were talking to Eric a little bit earlier about that and what the lexicon is going to look like, and this is going to be awesome, folks. So stay tuned for more on that. Take it away, Eric.
Here is the season, the Moed of Pesach, year 2019. This is a reference of where we are. Model A, year 1931. So A, that's the equivalent of the Aleph, which is the plan, the purpose, the intent, the great intent from the very beginning, from before the beginning of what Elohim had when he set this whole thing up. What is that? What is it that we're looking for? What are we trying to accomplish as we walk our days out here on the earth? 1931. So let's see Psalms 31. Verse 2. In you, Yahuwah, Yod He Vav He, I have taken refuge. Let me not be shamed ever. In your righteousness, liberate me. Incline to me your ear, quickly rescue me. Be for me a stronghold, rock, a fortress to save me. For my rock and my fortress are you. For your name's sake, guide me and lead me. So Psalms 31 goes on about this, and he brings up a bit of discussion against the people that are against him. David here speaking. In verse 16, in your hand are my times, rescue me from the hand of my foes and my pursuers. Shine your face upon your servant, save me in your kindness. O Yahuwah, let me not be ashamed, for I have called upon you. Let the wicked ones be shamed, let them be stilled to the grave. Well, once upon a time, this was a mighty fine vehicle, and it was the cream of the crop, you might say. Boy, if you needed a work truck,
it's a workhorse, I'll tell you.
But we're all destined to ruin. I mean, these tires here are literally threads.
Yeah.
It's disintegrating. The rubber is just falling onto the ground, and it just crumbles, and even the steel is rusting. Well,
without restoration, it's headed for dirt.
So we look at Psalms 49. We're just going to jump between Psalm 31 and Psalm 49. In verse 4, this is by the sons of Korah. It says, my mouth will speak wisdom, the meditations of my heart are insightful. I will incline my ear to the parable. With a harp I will solve my riddle. 4 times he gives us a concept in this psalm that he's going to tell us something very mysterious, that's perplexing, it's hidden, and that he's now going to play a song on his harp and make a comparison, a mishli, a riddle, somehow a parable, like a proverb, where he explains a great mystery. And as he goes on, it's hard to see what he's saying that's so mysterious, but the substance of the text here is, he says, don't be afraid. Well, the same word afraid is also where we get reverence or honor. So when he says, don't be afraid of wealthy people, he might saying, don't look at them with such awe and reverence, like they're so great and wonderful that they've done something, even though they have a company with their own name on it and say, boy, this is going to endure for decades, hundreds of years. My name will be renowned. Or you name cities and mountains after you, or you great houses. That's what he's talking about here in Psalms 49. It says, though the people with great significant wealth and have taken advantage of opportunity, or maybe what family they've been born into, and they have some great invention, like inventing an automobile or some rocket ship. Is that an accomplishment for mankind? When you get to verse 14, it seems to me that's the key to this whole psalm. Verse 15, actually. Like sheep, they are destined for the lower world. Death shall consume. He says basically every human is going to die, fall into the ground, and disintegrate, like this vehicle is doing. But it says here, the upright shall dominate them at daybreak. Another verse says, the upright shall rule over them in the morning. I heard a certain minister give this chapter, Psalms 49, as his whole sermon, and he missed that line. He never spoke that sentence as he took his whole entire length of his sermon, and he said,
because he wants to go to heaven. He wants to go to heaven.
He was talking about, he took a New Testament concept, plugged it into this chapter, but yet I think this one line is the key to this entire chapter. The upright shall dominate them at daybreak. What it says is, Va yiradu bem yesharim leboker. That's Hebrew. But what does it mean? I've looked online, different translations, and everybody translates it a little bit differently. Why? Because we don't know what this means, but yet this is the critical line in this whole chapter. Why would somebody leave this line out of a sermon? Maybe he just forgot. Maybe it just slipped his attention. But this chapter is trying to set up a riddle, a mystery, a parable, a pattern. The interesting thing, if you go back and he says, the meditations of my heart are insightful. Okay, well, what are they? Well, if you look at it in Hebrew, it says, Hagot levi tabonot. The verb hagah means to navigate, rudder, steering wheel, helm, and it means to spell a word, and it also means to ponder and meditate and think. It's to meditate and to navigate based on the spelling of words. And then this word lavi, well, that's my heart, and then it says tabonot. Well, the word tabanit is the word for pattern, such as in Exodus, where he says to Yahuwah says to Moshe, make everything regarding the Mishkan according to the pattern that I showed you. So the Mishkan pattern, what we keep talking about, is the structure, the organization of the letters of the alphabet. So I believe what he's saying here in Psalms 49, that the meditations of my heart are insightful. If we meditate on the spelling of words based on the Mishkan pattern of the aleph-bet, that's where the wisdom is. That's where the great insight is. And this author had no reference here of the New Testament gospel. So what's he talking about? Something that's found in the language. And what he ends up saying is, it says here in this translation, verse 19, though he may bless himself in his lifetimes, others will praise you if you improve yourself. I don't know if that's really the best translation. Other translations will say it differently. And then verse 20, it shall come to the generation of its fathers unto eternity, they shall see no light. Man is glorious, verse 21, but if he understands not, he is likened to the silenced animals. What does that mean? Again, you can't necessarily trust even the English translation of the stones to knock. The Hebrew on one side, the English on the other. You got to look at the Hebrew words. This was meant to accomplish a task. It lived its life, and now you can't even get this thing on the road. You'd have to spend a fortune to put this back on the road and make it just be able to pull some walnuts out of the field onto the manufacturing location. I mean, just to do the simple job, it would take so much money, it's not worth it. I believe what this psalm is saying is that the aleph for man, the original plan for man, this word is ikur, yod kuf resh is that it would be, that word means costly, precious, dear, of great honor, that right now we're kind of missing, to be increased in value. But if man doesn't understand his purpose, his potential of why we're on this earth for a little bit of time, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, if you miss understanding, though you have wealth and houses and things named after yourself, you're going to rot in the ground. Where's the riddle? This verse 14. The upright shall dominate them at daybreak. The word dominate is yirad. That word yirad is where we get the word road and where we get the word Lord. It means to walk on. Like this car is designed to run on the road. How do you make a road? You cut things down, you pound on it, you dump gravel, you stomp it, you flatten it, you tread upon it, and then you continue to tread. That's what a road is. And the reason it's called a road in English is because of this word here. The reason why you call Lord the dominant one, the one who overrules and subjugates and suppresses, it's all the same word. To lord over, to dominate, to rule, to tread upon is yirad in Hebrew, yod resh dalet. The upright will walk on them at daybreak, but the word daybreak is boker. The word boker is morning or daybreak, but it also is a picture of a plow cutting into the earth, opening up the earth, erupting onto both sides, and making a valley, a rut, a furrow. This is saying, in this present life, you have some that are wealthy, some that are rich, and some that are powerful, and some that are influential, and some that are, what he says, foolish, uneducated, and we're all going to die into the ground. But those who are upright. Now, why didn't he say those who believe in the Messiah? Why didn't he say those who figure out how to read Hebrew, those who figure out how to keep the covenant, those who don't eat the wrong thing, those who are, there could be a whole list, those who keep the commandment? He didn't say that. He said the upright. The word upright is actually yashar, yod shin resh. The word Israel is yashar, yod shin resh, el. The word yashar is similar to ashar, aleph shin resh, and it means straight, to authenticate, to validate, to confirm, to walk straight. It also means praiseworthy, it also means happy, it also means blessed. And some of the Psalms start off with Ashri, Ashri. In fact, Psalms 119, the first word is Ashri. I believe it's Psalms 1. Praiseworthy is the man, Asheri. Asher means that which is fit, suitable, proper, right, authentic. And what it means here when he says, others will praise you if you improve yourself, in verse 19, I think what he's saying here is that the only good thing a man can accomplish in this life is understanding his purpose. If he's going to bless himself somehow, it's understanding what it means to be upright and conducting himself in that uprightness. And the one that does, when the ground is ripped open after we have all gone into it and died and been buried, and some their bodies will simply rot and they'll never see the light of another day, but the upright, the ground is going to be opened up, they will come back out of it, and they'll be walking over the disintegrated corpses of those who didn't understand. Now the question is, well, how do you do what's upright? This isn't necessarily about belief. It's a matter of understanding. The word understand is bean, bet yod noon. Like put your beanie on, thinking cap, beanie, it's the same exact word. It means to consider this compared to that. It's translated typically as the word between. So the same word, here's the fifth time that he talks. There's the word for mystery and riddle and that which is hidden, and mishle, the parable, chakma, the understanding. The one who with whatever life gives him takes the time to ponder and think if he's going to maximize his opportunity for living on this earth, It's not about your house, your car, your name, the fun you had, the toys you accomplished to gather and accumulate. It's, did you understand the aleph? The aleph, the model A, the aleph is the Creator put us here to make the decision to turn our hearts to Him, to listen and walk on His path of uprightness. And what this psalm says is the upright will come out of the grave and tread upon the disintegrated remains of all those who didn't understand.
So it says in book of Malachi, you should tread upon the ashes of those transgressors.
The dilemma with this is, yeah, but how do you be upright? So the New Testament concept is none of us are righteous, none of us are upright, and we only have merit of uprightness if we believe in the death of the Savior. The thing is, it doesn't say that here. This says something about improving yourself, about being upright. There's other verses where Yahuwah said, this one verse comes to mind, he says, by this will the sins of Jacob be atoned for when altars to Baal and Ashtoreth poles arise no more. Quit doing evil. Quit the idolatry. Listen. You listen to me and I will listen to you. That's what he said. So in David, when he's talking in Psalms 31, when he says, please listen to my voice and protect me against those who are my enemies, it's a conditional covenant. Yahuwah said, if you don't listen to me when I speak, I can't and won't listen to you, though you speak to me, though you pray to me, though you cry out in worship, though you cry out in pain because your enemies are overwhelming you. I can't hear you if you don't listen to me. So something about walking upright is tied to listening to His voice, because His voice is telling us how to walk uprightly. Emet and chesed, truth and kindness. Mishpat, balance scales. Do what you say. Fair deal with one another as we conduct our commercial affairs and our engagements with each other. And zadikah, righteousness. Giving to others. Goodness. Truth, kindness, goodness, righteousness. That's what it means to walk uprightly, regardless of what you believe. And I'm not going to say that whoever does this, who doesn't do that's going to burn in hell. I'm not even going to say those words. I'm telling you what he said. We're all going to get to the point where we're useless. We're all going to get to the point where they dig a hole and bury us. But the ones who walk uprightly, according to his voice, the ground is going to open up. And this is the interesting thing, that it's one of the very few places in the entire Old Testament that it's a clear indication of the belief in a resurrection. And there's one other really interesting thing about this. In Exodus 3, Moshe at the burning bush says to the voice speaking to him, who shall I say sent me? When he's instructed to go back and talk to the leaders of Israel that are still in Egypt. And he says, tell them, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. It's translated, I am, that I am, or I will be, such, that, who I will be. Tell them Ehyeh sent you. Tell them I am sent you. Okay, well, we can leave it there with just information, but think about this. The concept of I am is that it exists. So we were talking about this concept of how would you draw that graphically? A dot. It's either there or it's not there, like faith, the size of a grain of a mustard seed, like a poppy seed, one little dot. It's either there or it's not there. So to exist is to be. The word asher is a straight line, like this word yashar. Yashar, asher, it's the same word, I mean, it's a straight line. Ehyeh is another dot. So to draw a dot, a straight line, and a dot is kind of this graphic picture of I am, that I am. And here he says, those who exist, you humans, you have a life, you exist. That's like the dot. Yashar, there's the straight line. And when the ground gets broken up, you will exist again. That's another dot of existence. So it's kind of like he's telling us, encrypted in this psalm, is a picture of we were designed to be modeled after the Almighty on the condition of He gives us a life, and if we walk uprightly, we have the shot at another life after death. And that's as much a fact as His name is Asher, or Ehyeh, Asher Ehyeh. Does it mean I am that I am? That's one way to see it. There's a whole other way to read that. Aleph, Hey, Yod, Hey, Ehyeh. Aleph, the one who thought of the plan. Hey, manifested as, or evidenced as. Yod, the creation expresses. So to read that backwards, Hey, Yod, Hey, Aleph means that you can look at what creation seems to say and realize that it's a manifestation of what His plan was. So He who made the plan and established it to exist sustains Himself, you might say, by the character of His own uprightness. He claims to be the Elohim whose pure truth, pure light, pure life, pure righteousness, pure justice. In fact, He says, Mishpat and Zadokah are the foundations of His throne. Balanced scales and righteousness, justice and victory and salvation, that's the essence of His throne. And our uprightness is to conduct our behavior and our attitude according to that standard. And if we don't, it's because we don't understand. And those who don't understand and don't live their life accordingly, according to Psalms 49, will not see the resurrection. You could say, yeah, but what if they believed in the Messiah? Yeshua said, if you believed in me, you'd conduct yourself according to what Abraham did, who saw my day, and Abraham had this belief, but Abraham conducted his life according to the standard of truth and kindness and justice and righteousness. And if we don't do those things, we may not be as saved as we think we are, just because we think we believe in something that somebody told us that we have to have an attitude of hope. It's not the same thing as walking in righteousness. And I'm not saying we earn salvation by meriting by our own goodness, but we better be upright if we hope to see the resurrection.
All right, brother. More to follow. Hag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.